Cult classics and motorsport. It's only when you don't race somewhere that you realize how good something is. This track has been a beautiful battleground over the 90s and 2000s for Formula One as one of iRacing's new additions to the iRacing service. This is a new frontier of a challenge, and in terms of challenges, Andy T has been unstoppable this season, and it may continue here today at the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours, but we will see whether it is 7 out of 7 here today on the Global SimRacing Channel. The Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series hits the second half of the season, and we're all looking forward to it. My name is Jake Sperry, and joining me in the booth is Ozian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided today by Dougie Beard. Now, this circuit folds up on itself like a paper crane, but races like a supersized karting track. Let's head over to our GSRC track guide to understand what gives Magny-Cours cult classic status.
Welcome to Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. Located about 3 hours south of Paris, the track is most famous for its nearly 2 decades of hosting the French Grand Prix. But it has seen a variety of open-wheel series, sports cars, and motorcycles compete during its history. With about 4.5 kilometers in length, or just under 3 miles, its 17 turns wind back and forth between a series of hairpins and chicanes. Notably, a few of the turns are modeled after famous corners from other tracks. Estoril's long, sweeping opening to the lap provides a serious challenge to kick things off. Then, the flat-out run up to Adelaide tests your precision with braking by smacking you in the face with the slowest corner on the track. Later, the Nürburgring and Imola chicanes do little to slow the car, but forces you to thread the needle on your way towards 2 other tight hairpins. But there are other notable turns that are unique to the circuit. The Grand Courbe is the first you must tackle and is a swift double apexer that blends directly into Estoril. This means that any attempts at an overtake there are going to require some serious bravery. Chateau d'Eau will test your throttle control as the radius opens up and needs a good exit to make sure you aren't vulnerable on the run down to Lissay. The reputation of this track tells you to expect overtakes to be difficult, but a little aggression and some good braking should give you opportunities. All in all, after more than 60 years, French race fans have embraced this staple of motorsport in the country.
That's what makes Magny-Cours absolutely fantastic as a driving circuit. But Ossian, we're here at this now BMW-owned track, and this really does have a bit of a unique feel to it. It's got lots of fast acceleration zones, lots of heavy braking areas as well. It has that very nice stop-start nature and a first sector, which is absolutely magnificent when you hook it up correctly.
Absolutely, Jake. Especially with this car, Lotus 79 ground effect Formula 1. It loves those high-speed corners. It loves those medium-speed corners of the middle sector as well. Quick switchbacks like you got at the Nürburgring, at the Imola. So that it's gonna be a great challenge for these drivers and an exciting challenge as well. They are here for the first time on broadcast. They've been racing all throughout the week, but this is the first time when we see best on best against each other with Lotus 79s at Magny-Cours, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here covering it all for you guys. Just one note, I do hope they've gotten rid of the pigeon infestation here.
Oh, I certainly hope that they do as well. I think that's going to be great. But we are in the midst of the classic Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series, and it has been a runaway up at the top. Let's take a little look, though, at what we have to deal with here today. So it's round 7 of 12, so they've only got 20 laps on the board here today, and it's an open setup, which means everybody's got to bring the best that they possibly can for this machine. They also know, as they go out here today and they race, they do not have a spare car available to them. So if you break the car, you've bought it. And because we're racing on an official iRacing server out here overall, a drive-through penalty limit comes at 70 incidents and disqualification is at 25. So always worth keeping that in mind as we go through. But Ozzy, we've been keeping an eye on those championships, and it is Andy T who has been head and shoulders above the field so far this season.
Oh boy, I mean, all the golf courses in France must be booked because it has been tea time this season. He is leading the championship, as we'll get the F1 driver standings up for you soon, and we can tell you more about that. But Andy, it's really his championship to lose. He is just ahead, as a matter of fact, of Gernot Fritzsche in the second place on the championship. And the gap between them has really grown and grown all throughout the season, but Gernot still has a chance. He has that experience and he has a chance to catch up to Andy as the season progresses on. We got a lot more other challengers as well in the standings department. For example, we got Timothy Reed up in position number 3, Juan Costa in 4th place, and Kimmo Viljakainen rounding out the top 5 in the standings. Kartik Pai, Thomas Barthai, Nick Thiessen, Andreas Schuster, and Timothy Vaughan rounding out the top 10. How about the F2?
Well, F2, we saw very briefly on our screen, is very much a little bit different. It's a closer fought championship outright because this is for drivers who have 3,000 or less iRating out there. Jason Clapper holds control of that and has control by just 6 points over Miguel Morland. Jean-Francois Godin currently in 3rd position in category there, following Keith Herner and Jack David Spickett. Olivier Verhagen currently 6th with Kurt Clapper, Barry West, Mike Christopher Jr. in 9th position in a close fight with Rolly Wallbank, and that will make top 10 over in the F2 drivers standings here coming into this beautiful race track. But this is going to be a very, very quick and very difficult challenge. We talk about this circuit with the high-speed nature of it and the high-speed nature of these machines, Ozzy, as a tougher overtaking circuit than relatively other tracks that are out there. But there are places where you can make moves here today. You look around this circuit, you think turn 5 of Adelaide is the prime place today to get it done. But if you brave turn 9 at 180, certainly is an option to find your overtaking needs today. And on top of that, when you look around this circuit, you've also got opportunities potentially at Chateau d'Eau if you get a good run, and the Complex de l'Issey.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn 14 and turn 15. I love those French names for the corners, by the way. Chateau d'Eau, water towers, but they make it sound so fancy. It's kind of like at Imola, Agua Minerale, which just means mineral water, essentially. But it sounds so beautiful, as well as the high school complex that is the last corners of this track. Certainly overtaking opportunities abound, but yeah, you're right, Adelaide, turn 5, that is the prime one. It is the key one that drivers will be looking forward to today, and they will want to get that job done there. But everybody knows it, so it's also relatively easy to defend. I wonder how many crossover moves we'll see at that place once the race progresses, when somebody's defending up the inside and essentially leaving themselves open for attack at the exit of the corner. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic, and here we see Kimmo Viljakoinen starting out with the qualifying.
We are on the qualifying, and it's worth noting there is no Andy T here today, which means that drivers have their opportunity, believe it or not, here at round 7 for their first win of the season. This has, Aussie, a 2002 Formula 1 feel to it. Title was wrapped up in France that one time, but here at round 7, these drivers might have a chance for their first win.
Yeah, and I wonder who's going to be the Finn who will throw away the win with like 2 laps to go.
Oh, yes. Just put a nice oil slick somewhere, thanks to Alan McNish. We've got any Scotsmen in the field. That's going to be something to keep an eye out on. Viljakoinen running through Gulf then and heading to the Adelaide hairpin, which is the slowest corner on the circuit. Get it nicely tucked down in through the middle sector, and now you're into the infield where you're flying through to that Nürburgring chicane, and the lefts and the rights really do fly fast. 230 kilometers an hour through that section. It is a G-force paradise through that section of track.
Yeah, you have to work those neck muscles there, and you have to work that steering wheel as well, because it's really, really putting the car on a trial. You have to have a high downforce setup here. And that's one of the other things that I really wanted to watch out for throughout the race, as Viljakoinen takes a really wide line through there, and I wonder if that's going to compromise him throughout the rest of the lap. Because, I mean, yes, you have a track with a lot of high-speed corners, medium-speed corners. That's high downforce classic. That's normally when you really set the car up stiff, put high downforce, put a lot of wing in there, steep angles, and try to maximize the downforce levels. But you also got that long run up to turn number 5, one of the prime overtaking opportunities. So could we see Gernot Fritsch, for example, who is very well known for running lower downforce than others and making them work for that overtake, get a good qualifying done, and then make sure that nobody passes you on a straight line?
Well, that we certainly could see. The legend that is Gernot Fritsch. He's got 3 times as many wins than anybody else in this series. Absolutely flying now to the final chicane out there on circuit. The Complex de l'Issey over the very tough right-left chicanes and over the line. Marco Flaquer went fastest with a 24.7. Fritsch a 25.3. They only get 2 laps here in qualifying, 8 minutes to set them in closed qualifying conditions here, Aussie. So this is absolutely find the right time immediately. Sebastian Moran goes 5th fast at the moment, but it is a topsy-turvy field at the moment. It's Flaquer, Viljakoinen, Prix, your top 3.
Yeah, that's not the ones we expected at all, but it's one we'll absolutely take. As said, a new circuit, people are racing in these tough conditions, for the first time in a Sunday Grand Prix on this track. A lot of nerves abound, perhaps different conditions than they are used to. It looks to be a fairly clear day, probably a fairly hot day as well, as we're running on
fairly
board
cold
with Nathan
day.
Finnegan.
It's so cold. It's in sim time. It's 9:15 in the morning. Track temperature is 20 degrees. And get this, Aussie, 18 kilometer an hour northeast winds. That's causing havoc.
Oh yeah, that's causing havoc. But for Finn, that's warm.
Absolutely, it is very warm for a Finn. Nathan Finnegan, Club West, making his way through the Lycée chicane to end the lap, and it's a quick run to the start-finish line, and Finnegan does improve, goes to 5th fastest because Marco Nurmler and Timothy Vaughan have gone quicker. Timothy Reed populates the top of the order on a 24.734. He's up there by 11 thousandths of a second. Here is Sebastian Moran making a run to the line, can only manage to go 6th fastest. Preacher can only manage 4th. 25 flat there from Sebastian Moran, trying to find that time. Marco Nurmler still out there on a lap and haven't set a lap time just yet. He's the driver who we expect to do very well today. Number 2, Juanmi Costa. Here is Nurmler flying through the Nürburgring chicane and into that really tough 180. You never have enough understeer through that corner. You always get bottle loads of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those corners that never seems to end. And when you run through it, it's one of those places where you just have to wrestle the steering wheel. As Juanmi Costa, take a look at that shake.
That's half a second quicker than anybody else with that qualifying time. Juanmi Costa is on another level, and Marco Nurmler right now making his progress to the final chicane here through the Complex de Lycée and over towards the line. Is there going to be an improvement on a 25.1? Answer is yes. It's 25.049. That's good enough to jump Moran, so starts 4th row at best here in 7th position overall. We are under 2 minutes now in qualifying. The only drivers now are starting to get their finishing times. Jacob Oberslack is one of them. He's in 19th position at the moment, and he's just crossed the line and improved to 18th position, passing Marco Antonio Lopez. And now you've got likes of Paul Williams, but there is the driver in position number 1, Juanmi Costa. Let's take a look from this fantastic low-lying view through the Imola chicane and into Chateau d'Eau here, this beautiful right. And now you start wondering, Juanmi Costa, how is he driving so quick? He is at one with the machine.
He absolutely is, and I've been watching his progress throughout the years. He came as a very keen driver, not necessarily the fastest, but always keen to learn. And that learning is now paying off. A 24 flat 076 fit for the machine, and Juanmi Costa is 6/10 clear of everybody else. And that makes you wonder, Jake, as we see Javier Mosquera coming up to the line, improves and gets himself up into 22nd position. But yeah, I wonder, Jake, could even Andy T match that?
That's the real question, is whether Andy T would have had that level of pace here today. But now we're just playing with hypotheticals. Every driver out there who has been able to set a lap time has set a lap time. So the grid is set today at the Circuit d'Hiver Magny-Cours, and we'll be able at this 17-turn, 4.41 kilometer circuit to get a little look at how the starting grid will line up today from this amazing race circuit. And it will be number 2, Juanmi Costa, on the pole position, a 1:24.075. Will be joined on the front row by Timothy Reed, 6.5 tenths of a second behind. Marco Flaquer and Kimmo Viliakainen will hold row 2 of the grid with Jerno Fritzsche and Timothy Vaughan 5th and 6th positions. Marco Nurmler, car number 7, will start from position number 7 with Paul Williams late on in qualifying, jumping the car up into 8th place. Sebastian Moran will go from 9th on virtual home soil, with Dylan Freckleton here, Aussie, rounding out the top 10.
Yes, he is, and as we get to the next page, we'll see the challengers there on row number 6. Nathan Finnegan starting 11th, Kartik Pai only 12th. I say only for him, he is a fast driver. Olivier Verhagen 13th, Andreas Schuster 14th, then you got Jack David Spick at 15th, Thomas Barkfai 16th, Seamus Power 17th, Jakub Obrosłak 18th, then you got Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado starting 19th, as he did in the Lotus 49 race just yesterday, and Team Britain rounding out the top 20.
This is part of the triple threat challenge when it comes to the classics here in iRacing. Barry West will go from 21st with Javier Mosquera, and no time set then for Jason Clapper. So that is going to be worth keeping in mind. It is a very short run to turn 1 here out at Magny-Cours, and the curb and the grand curb that is out here. Then you've got Estoril at turn 2, which is a 180-degree fast right-hander. So you've got to get the launch off the start It is absolutely paramount here today. With it just being 20 laps as well, these laps will absolutely fly by here at the Global SimRacing Channel, and they have a maximum of 15 seconds right now to grid themselves up, or they start from pit lane. But with everyone on circuit, we'll get the lights up, we'll get ready for racing. Welcome to Magny-Cours, and we are underway here at this fantastic circuit. Slow start from the second row of the grid by Marco Plaquet. They're 3 wide into the opening corner, but it's clean from Juanmi Costa, who's got the jump that he wants to go through. And Estoril now, they will challenge through this very fast right-hander. Everybody flying through. Okay, but they will run now over towards Adelaide. Turn 5, the most important overtaking place on this circuit. Already you got Paul Williams, starts to have a little bit of a look then, trying to search for the outside line against Timothy Vaughan. And at the brakes, it's Vaughan into the back then of Dylan Freckleton as they now concertina up.
Yep, and it's paramount now for the leaders to catch up to Juanmi Costa. We see a couple of cars off in the background. That's Jakub Obroslak, one of the drivers who was sadly involved in that one. But as we move towards the leaders, for Timothy Reed, for everybody else, for Kimmo Viljakaninen as well, they have to catch up to Juanmi Costa fast, because we know the pace of the Iberian driver out here in Magny-Cours. It is magnifique, as the French would say, and Viljakaninen and others will have to get a move on early, and they have to get on his tail right now, or else they'll be fighting for the second place check.
Second through to 12th was split by just 0.5 of a second in qualifying. It's going to be a close fought battle for these positions, but you have to follow through very, very efficiently. There is Kimmo Viljakaninen in 3rd position, got the jump on the line to number 14, Marco Plaquet. Big accident in the background there. That's a heavy, heavy hit. Jack David Spickett's in the barriers in the outside, and it looks like it really all started with Timothy Vaughan again, who's been the catalyst to all the issues on the opening lap. He was on the wrong side of the Lycée chicane.
Yeah, it was, and it was a big, big impact. Sadly, one of those things that will happen so easily with the cold tires, especially on a track like this. You have only 1 lap to get them warm, and you might have a little bit of nerves as well, with already some incidents happening. You have a tight midfield pack, a tight pack all the way towards the end, and incidents can happen so easily, contact can happen so easily on the opening lap. And Flaquer getting really angry with Kimmo Viljakaninen.
Yeah, he's getting angry with Viljakaninen because he's got a black flag penalty. That would have been for a jump start.
Wow. And despite that, he got, Flaquer, he got such a slow start, and he still got black flag for it.
Well, it must have been that he got the jump, realised he jumped, stopped, and then by the time the lights went, he was slow to react because he would have been in the wrong position for it. So Flaquer then will have to go through, serve a drive-through penalty, and take to the pits, and he's got 4 laps to serve that, or he'll be disqualified. He's got pace, and now he'll dive into the pits now. It's a very, very short run to the line, just 58 kilometers an hour down this pits as Costa sets the fast lap of the race. This is going to feel like agony for the Hispan-America driver.
It absolutely will, and I think I saw him get to the pit box as well for some reason. Regardless, here is Viljakaninen now on the last place of the podium, trying to fend off. But that contact with Flaquer, I think it might have damaged the rear of his car, because he's really under pressure here. And he's really under pressure here. Coming behind him is Marko Nurmela, his fellow Finn, who is trying to catch up to Viljakaninen, and really Marko had great pace on that opening sector, losing a bit of ground on the Adelaide hairpin, which leads me to believe that either he was getting too close for comfort, or he might have less mechanical grip than Viljakaninen in that car, in which case this will be an intriguing battle for positions 3 and 4. But as they battle, we know the old truth, Jake, when 2 people battle, other people will be getting away.
They certainly will, and those top 2, Timothy Reed and Juanmi Costa, are, at this point in time, into Chateau d'Eau. Go these drivers, 3rd, 4th, and I will say 5th as well, because Gernot Fritzsche is on the back, the Austrian as well. But Nurmela, at this point, is going to have to figure out where is the best place I can make a pass on the Raccoon Racing machine in front of Kimmo Viljakaninen through the Lycée final chicane, and looking to go to the grand curve at turn number 1 here out around this circuit. You've got to follow. It's such a fast opening sector. Here's Jack David Spickett, though, back in 19th position. A little bit of defense for him as Jacob Oberslack there in going a little bit further back there in 20th, tries to get close. Now, Spickett will be one of those drivers who will have a lot of damage on the machine after his contact with Vaughan. Nurmela now pulling over to the inside, looking to get the move on Villiakainen. Villiakainen taking a much deeper braking zone, taking to the outside, and as such, able to put the power down on the exit here, Ozzy, and can pull away on the defense.
Yep, that's what I was kind of talking about. Well, I was more referring to the over-under earlier on, but that's another way to do it. You can just defend on the outside, brake so much deeper. There's so much room to go deep in that turn number 5. And if you don't hold your position, you can at least get a better exit. And now the first attack by Marko Nurmela has been shunted, but he will surely try again if Villiakainen is not able to extend that gap and extend it soon. Mind you, these cars get proper draft from about 6 to 7 tenths of a second away. So when you see the gaps on our timing tower on the left side of the screen, that's about 6 tenths of a second that you'll be looking for in the second numbers. And if you have that or less heading onto that straight before Adelaide corner, before turn number 5, you've got a real good overtaking opportunity.
Focusing on Sebastian Moran here, down in 14th, car off in front of them. That's going to be Tim Britton, who's just got off there. Number 17, starting 20th, was up 8 places at the time, and a small mistake at the Lycée complex. They're all enough, and that was just a case of him outbraking himself. Moran now up into 13th and stuck behind last season's F2 champion. So Tamas Bartfai there going through his. Paul Williams, though, with a little search to the inside with Dylan Freckleton. Freckleton able to cover it off there at Adelaide.
He is, and Dylan Freckleton is kind of in a Kimmo Villiakainen sort of position here, with fast driver behind. Villiakainen got Marko Nurmela to worry about, and Dylan has Paul Williams to worry about as well. So I'm hoping that this Williams at least knows where the track is.
Yeah, I'm certainly sure Paul Williams will be looking for a very good opportunity here to move through and cleanly move through at that as well. Running slightly wide there, and you're going to see a lot of drivers try and take as much track as they can. And Imola, massive slide then from Dylan Freckleton. That is a freebie for Paul Williams. Cookies, thank you very much. I'll take that one. And for Dylan Freckleton there, that is just pressure, pure pressure, which has caused him to lose that place because Williams was just happy to follow him the entire way of the lap.
Yeah, he overcooked it heading into that corner, didn't he? And you know what? Paul Williams didn't even have to climb to the top, to climb to the ladder and go to the top shelf for the cookie. The cookie jar was right on the table and the lid was open. All he had to do was pick one, and there you go. Nice, sweet taste in his mouth, 6th place. Now he can start chasing because he's only 2 seconds away from the pack ahead as we move to the battle for 16th position.
We do have Mosquera in 15th. You've got Tim Britton there in the red in 16th position. Jason Clapper, who started dead last in this field just behind. And this is going to get dicey heading towards Adelaide. They go through golf. Which way do you pull out? Do you go left? Do you go right? Which way do you want to go? And on the brakes then, here in what is the very IndyCar-inspired Target livery, it will be about drive off of the exit. Now, this is really clever, actually, from Tim Britton because he can get himself a run. It's too wide, too deep. They're too wide in front. Moran and Vaughan's through on the position, but that inside line heading into the Nürburgring, because it is such a closed one-line suits-all corner, you've got to be so switched on. Speaking of switched on, hello, where did you come from, Jack David Spickett, trying to drive back up the inside of Jason Clapper?
Well, he's got plenty of damage in that car too, doesn't he? And he's still pulling off moves like that, diving to the inside, trying to make things happen. Meanwhile, up at the front, Juan Costa making another fastest lap happen, but we're watching this one. Jason Clapper fighting with the others here. Tim Britton in front of him, Mosquera as well. And, you know, you have Morin as well. Sebastian Morin, car number 3. He's been on a good pace this week on one of his home tracks, but he's only in 14th place, just ahead of these guys. Hasn't been his day, has it?
No, it hasn't. He's with Timothy Vaughan. Vaughan down 7, Moran down 5, and now we've got a great chance here in towards the opening corner. Spickett trying to get past Clapper. They've completely dropped off. Clapper has to get on the brakes. He almost gets T-boned by Barry West through at Estoril, and that could have been a huge disaster as they went through. Somehow, they're all able to keep it going, and Spickett now will have to be mirror watching through this section because there is that McLaren-inspired livery then of Jason Clapper trying to go to the outside, trying to get this done. under braking, can't quite get there. And this comes into that Adelaide hairpin, the really, really tight hairpins. You don't often get them, but it's very similar to the likes of the Spitzkehrer over at Hockenheim. And that's what makes it brilliant. Nurmela still on the back of Villiakainen, searching for that third place.
Yep, and I love those tight hairpins on every single track that has them. They just provide so many opportunities. They remind me of that casino hairpin at Montreal as well, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is one of the other legendary overtaking positions. You can just shoot it up to the inside, or you can stay to the outside and hope that you can get them on the exit. Both lead to a reasonably long straight as well. The one after turn 5 here, not quite as long as the one in Montreal, but still a good opportunity to get that position back. And getting a position is something Marco Nurmela is trying to do. Look at him hunt. I want the viewers to focus on his steering wheel. Such light motions that you have to make with this car. He's looking to the inside here, Jake. This might do it.
Yeah, he might have to get the old block pass out, get the dirt experience going, but he gets a good run on the inside. And if he's got the inside covered here, he's got a really good chance. Villiakainen will fight him every stage of the way, flying around the outside. Villiakainen, what an important move that is. And Gernot Fritzsche will search to the inside at 180 degrees, and he's not going to quite find it there. That big late apex from Nurmela, enough to cover off that move, but that is commitment from Villiakainen to have such confidence in the downforce and to say, I know you're not going to brake as late as I'm going to brake. That is strong, and here comes the move at Chateau d'Eau. Nurmela, big send up the inside, little bit of tire-to-tire contact, but he gets through.
Where gap? Car. And that's certainly what Marco Nurmela was thinking there. Okay, I didn't get it done the first time, fair enough, I'll get it done the next time. But I'm sure Kimmo Villiakainen will not give it away that easily. He's shown great confidence in his ability, and I have no idea how he knew the track limits so well. Didn't get a slowdown penalty either. I thought he was way off the track there earlier on. Didn't seem to be the case. Didn't have to slow down at all. So here is Villiakainen still in that 4th place, still trying to hold on to the draft of Marco Nurmela. But man, just look at how much that dirty air is affecting Villiakainen now that he's behind Nurmela. I think he'll have to make some anti-roll bar adjustments there, maybe, which is what you can do. Something Mario Andretti brought to the Lotus team and to the Lotus 79 from his American experience. You can adjust the rear anti-roll bar, get it stiffer, and get that car turning a little bit better when you're in dirty air. And that's what Villiakainen needs to do, because that car is understeering like a pig right now.
It is, and I tell you what, Gernot Fritzsche will be looking at that going, oh, this is going to be pretty good. And you talk about high downforce circuits, and they are really important in terms of the realms of racing here, Ozzy. But it's a double-edged sword when you come to a circuit like this, because not only are you running a high downforce to get the turning through the corners, but you're also getting more rake that comes off of, or more wake that comes off of the wing. And basically because of that, it means you get more dirty air because you're pushing more air.
You absolutely are. You absolutely are, Jake. And that's one of those things that you just have to really live with. The dirty air, the turbulent air that you get from the wings. It's not as prevalent with these cars because ground effect is providing a lot of the downforce, and the early wings were quite rudimentary, let's face it, in addition to the early aerodynamic devices. But yeah, it's still an effect that will absolutely be visible here at Magny-Cours, and the drivers will have to sort of adjust to it. And in a lot of cases, back when I was an active driver in this series, as we see Gernot Fritzsche moving to the inside, let's continue that later.
Oh, and he's going to put the block in with not clean, I would say, that move, but he put Villiakainen in a tough position. Fritzsche was saying, I am coming through and I'm going to make sure you've got no run off the exit. That is a well-crafted move by the legend of the Lotus 79. Villiakainen had nothing really to answer for it, and he goes in back-to-back laps, down from 3rd, now into 5th position, and that can be a really soul-destroying experience if you're in the wrong place. Paul Williams, though, has made some really good progress to close up. Now he'll be thinking of a top 5 here as he now drives into Chateau d'Eau.
And a big lock-up from Kimmo Villiakainen was just ahead of him. We saw a big plume of smoke, and Williams might have it sooner than we expect. Meanwhile, Andreas Schuster is out here, and he's in a battle of his own too, and that's one of those things. Andreas Schuster, one of those drivers not really having the most spectacular of days either, but he's fighting with Barry West, and there's a lot of experience in that battle. Barry West, we know, of course, has been racing for about as long as Gernot Fritsch. Not quite the same level of success, but he's been out there. He knows this car, and he loves a good battle as well.
Oh, hello. Trying to look at the inside of the chicane left, heading over towards the Lycée complex, and he couldn't quite find the angle there. Andreas Schuster is holding on. Tim Britton still has a race on in 15th position as well, trying to get past Sebastian Moran here for place, and flicking through Estoril, and now looking to get that run here is going to be crucial. Then you got the 3-car race that's on just behind them, and that's going to be key in terms of what you can get. Schuster will be looking behind because that is also Jason Clapper who is now trying to find the move, and Schuster will move to the outside looking to try and get that done. Sorry, will be Jason Clapper on the outside, and Schuster on the inside, able to defend that position, do just enough. And where are you going? Where are you going? Barry, where have you gone?
I don't know. Maybe he thought the field was greener on the other side of the track, Jake.
I think he just switched off. He completely switched off, thought it was a completely straight run. The thing about Magny-Cours is that the circuit is never truly in a straight line for long.
No, it isn't. It always twists and turns and goes somewhere different than you're expecting. Like, this might be the straightest bit of the circuit, and even that is not completely straight. You still have the track curving around somewhere, as we're watching Sebastian Morin trying to catch up to Tim Britton. I wonder if he can do it. He's one of those drivers that certainly usually has the pace, but hasn't had the best of days, as we've established earlier. And something I want to get back to is that case of number 4, Kimmo Viljakainen. Since he was overtaken by Marko Nurmela, Nurmela pulled 2 seconds away from Gernot. Granted, there was a battle, but Nurmela pulled away from Gernot, and Viljakainen has now lost ground to Fritsch as well, and he's now under some heavy pressure from Paul Williams, and if Williams doesn't get the job done soon, Dylan Freckleton might have a second chance after his earlier mistake.
Yep, Dylan Freckleton last lap did a 26.1. He's not holding the same pace, though, to these drivers, despite the fact that you've got Paul Williams bottled up underneath Viljakainen at this point in time. Juanmi Costa will set fastest lap after fastest lap. With this machine, it's not the tyres that are the big sticking point, it's the fuel that causes all the weight, and you lose you gain about 1/10 of a second per litre or per lap in this car, and so you expect times to get quicker and quicker as this race goes on. Paul Williams will go on board through the Grand Curb and heading towards the fast right of Estoril, where you need all of the patience to apply that power as early as you possibly can, use the curve on the outside, and then this is where the high-speed thrill ride continues up towards Adelaide. It isn't going to be close enough, because I'd say Viljakainen at 1.4 seconds back is just catching the coattails of Gernot Fritsch on a straight.
He's getting some of that sweet draft. His last lap was better now. It still wasn't good enough, but it was an improvement for Kimmo Viljakainen in comparison to what the others are doing. So maybe he's starting to get a feel for that car now. It's starting to get lighter. Maybe his car was too understeer earlier on in the race. And there we see some oversteer from Viljakainen, a big mistake at 180. And that's going to allow Williams to get right up there.
Yeah, and that is on the power as well. So now the fast chicane here of Imola, trying to get some run to Chateau d'Eau. Williams isn't close enough really to make any amends of it, but is now going to start thinking about, okay, well, I've only got to make this one move, and I've got myself 7 laps to go when I cross the line to go and make that happen. The lead gap now up to 11.5 seconds for Juanmi Costa at the front of this field, but through the Lycée chicane to end the lap, and now looking to really make this lap happen. There is Andreas Schuster going through and gaining a place. He'll still have to be cautious around Jason Clapper. He holds on to that. But I do also want to give a little bit of a moment, because there are a couple drivers out there who've had quiet races out there. I want to give Kartik Pai and Seamus Power some props, but Olivier Verhagen over this last lap has just had a moment, and he's had a big moment. I wonder if we can catch it on replay, if possible, because he's had a massive issue coming out of Imola here, Ozzy.
Oh yeah, he's having some trouble there. We'll probably see that later.
Yeah, 21.
Come back to that one. Paul Williams, meanwhile, was looking to the inside of Viljakaninen, not quite able to pull it off, and actually lost some ground turn. That's another thing here that you have to keep an eye on, is that when you go for an overtake, it's not a simple try, you either gain a position or you lose nothing. When you go for an overtake, you pull yourself on a bad line, and if you make a mistake there, you essentially have a potential to lose a lot of time, even lose the draft. And if you're very close to somebody, in terms of pace, it can be very difficult to get that time back later on, Jake. And as such, you have to, if you're on an equal pace with someone, you really have to work for that one perfect overtaking opportunity. And that's what Gernot Fritzsche does better than anyone else in the world, as we see a replay.
Yeah, this will be Olivier Verhagen going through Imola. You can see the back just loses it. Round you go through the gravel and blacks the rear into the wall. That would have been a hefty hit. And this is one of those circuits where it is still got that old school feel to it. Obviously, it does have gravel around a lot of this circuit. Paul Williams now has the chance to make the move up into fifth. Viljakaninen will not cover the inside. He'll try once again on that outside line to cover it off, but he goes too deep this time into the corner. Paul Williams gets that stop fantastically. Little kick of the turbo going through, but ultimately is going to be able to hold on to that position. Fantastic work by Williams. He's up into fifth.
Yeah, and very impressive. No wonder he's up to 50 if he's got a turbo in a naturally aspirated car, Jake. I know it's a turbo
right?
phrase. But
it felt like it was going up through the gears. He has so much torque up in that third, fourth gear that it was sort of the way. It was like a turbo little wiggle that you get through from having too much power.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. You get a little bit of turbo lag, and then when it spools and kicks in, you get that rear end kicking out even at fourth gear. But Paul Williams now, he's got the job done. Kimmo Viljakaninen, great idea to defend the outside line. You know, you don't want to pull yourself offline. You trust your exit. But he went a little bit too deep in there, and he made the corner a little bit too hard on himself. Maybe giving too much room to Williams, and Williams said, thank you very much, and goodbye. Now he has again not Fritzsche to catch up.
He certainly does. Timothy Vaughan, by the way, has been on a rampage, and he will know that Olivier Verhagen, he would have seen on the black box relative here in iRacing that Verhagen dropped very quickly down a position and dropped a lot of time. So we'll think that he is vulnerable in this race. And for Timothy Vaughan in the Candy car, he'll be certainly hoping that he can find a way through, take a wide line on entry, try and maximise the exit out of Estoril, try and get that drive, and he's absolutely got it hooked up. So watch out, Olivier Verhagen here will go from 13th to 12th now in this race, and we'll see that he's only gained one, and he's on the brakes early, allowing the position to go through. And Tamas Barkfai, that was a little bit easy there. Try and make that move. Olivier Verhagen, I think, doesn't have much confidence with the damage and decides, you know what, finishing this race is the biggest priority as we enter the final quarter.
Yeah, you got damage on the rear end of the car, which is going to compromise the rear downforce of the car. And and here we got a battle. Barry West trying to get back. Once again, he found the racetrack. Marco Flaquer, however, the man who started third and then took a false start and had to get a drive-through penalty in the pit lane, now on his tailpipe, and in fact has gotten past him. Poor Barry West taking that off-track excursion. But yeah, as I was saying, damage to the rear end of the car, as is the case with Verhagen, is very, very good at compromising your confidence in the car, because that's what's really providing the grip on the rear end. And if you don't have any grip on the rear end, it's gonna want to step out, and it's gonna feel real loose on the real oversteering on the high-speed corners. And when that happens, all the time you're fighting the car. It doesn't really want to go where you point it to. It feels like it's trying to fight itself loose all the time. And when that happens, you really just want to slow down and make sure you finish the race.
Yeah, we just saw there for a moment Timothy Reed is now Jason Clapper. Still looks to try and go for this move. This is a fantastic little battle that is going on right now with Schuster and Spickett and Marco Antonio Lopez leading the train. Clapper now will move to the outside, try and make this pass, and if he can manage it, this is going to be big, but they're going to race each other to the brakes. Juanmi Costa, another fastest lap on the exit. Big amount of oversteer trying to put the power down from Andreas Schuster, and thank you very much. Jason Clapper will snipe the position away just like that. And that's how quickly you can lose a place in this car. This is a handful. This is only a C-class license you need to drive this classic, and this is a handful.
Yeah, well, let's be fair, it was a B-class license until they decided, you know what, we want to invite more drivers, and as a result of that, it went to C-class, which was a good move, I think.
Verhagen's in trouble again.
Yeah, he's having trouble. I think we spotted the same thing on the timing screen. He's in trouble as we're watching Jack David speak.
In corner.
Yeah, so number 21 really now under pressure from the path we were watching earlier on, Brennan and Maureen and such.
Yes, so it'll be Tim Britton just behind, who will be there. Jack Spickett, though, here as we go through at 3 laps to go, which is pretty much 2.2 laps to go with the way the leader's going. Jack Spickett now is going to have to be really on this at the moment. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack find the overtake on Marco Antonio Lopez before Jason Clapper gets to you! Oh my goodness me! How is he there? How is he still there? Oh my word, Jack Spickett has just had the save of the century.
Not quite, I had better. But yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one, Jake, and he did very well to hold on to that one. The car going wide, the car going into gravel, the rear end going loose, and he still somehow managed to hold on to the alligator.
He had contact as well. That's what makes it so special. Spickett had to deal with 3 different elements there on that overtake, and he was able to sort it out. Still just about covering that position then is going to be Jason Clapper. He holds on fantastically at this point, but we are ticking down these laps. They are running out of time in terms of their races. Paul Williams might have a chance late to get to Gernot Fritsch in 4th position. That might be the best battle we have in the highest elements of the field, because it has spaced out a little bit towards the front, but it has been a great race of consolidation for their first attempts around this Magny-Cours circuit, brand new to the iRacing service.
Yeah, and race for consolidation is right, because there's been one man who's been putting on legendary pace all throughout the day. Juan Costa, can't talk enough about him, but Paul Williams is trying to catch up to Gernot Fritsch, another legend, of course, in this series. But man, just Jake, Juan Costa, what can you say? 17 seconds clear of the field, and he's done it on his own.
He has, and this is sometimes when a car and a circuit comes together, it just clicks. Barney waves the white flag. We will have 1 lap to go at the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours, and this is all about this driver right here, number 2. Juan Costa in all of the Classic Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. He's only got 2 race wins to his name, but today there is not a doubt in his mind as he traverses the Adelaide hairpin, the way that he has gone about business in car number 2 from Club Iberia as he masterminds his way through the Nürburgring chicane to 180 degrees. There hasn't been a driver out here today who has been able to hold a candle in the wind. He's been setting fastest lap after fastest lap throughout this one, and he's been doing so without any chance to hold back. He has been simply fantastic. Yes, there has been no Andy T here today. Yes, this will only be the 2nd different race winner this season. But if this is anything of a statement of intent to look at over the course of this season, we may have just found ourselves a superstar going into the next generation of drivers. Through now at the Lycée complex to finish off the lap. Juan Costa will come to the line and will slide it over the line to win at Magny-Cours at a canter.
Magnificent style, and he will join Nicola Cocchi, Tommy Nilsson, Jamie Fluke and Martin McKeown in the all-time winner list at 3. Here's the man from America 10, Timothy Reed, with the modern Ferrari livery. I say modern is from the 90s, coming home in 2nd place ahead of Marko Nurmela, who will round out the podium. Gernot Fritsch 4th, Paul Williams 5th, and then you got Viljakainen, Freckleton, Finnegan, Pye and Power. But man, Juan Costa, can't say enough about his performance today. It's one of the best drives I've ever seen in this series, and that's a high praise. I've seen Gernot Fritsch in his prime. I've seen drivers like Kalle Ruokola, like Joni Takanen, like Alexi Elomaa in this series in their primes. Tamas Shimon as well. Topi Korteniemi. but yeah, that was good. Schuster in the battle.
Oh, he's going to have to work for it, but Andreas Schuster can't find a way past Marco Antonio Lopez. He gave it everything coming towards the line, showed the nose, but not much more could be done there. And there you see in the background Marco Flaquer. How much of a presence could he have been if he had got through in the final stages? We, though, are going to step aside for just one moment here with the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back with post-race coverage here from the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours after this.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours and the finish to what was a runaway victory at the front today, which we have seen quite a bit this season, but not from Andy T. This time, it is the emergence of Juanmi Costa, who has come away with victory today. And what a victory it has been. 28 minutes and 23 seconds worth of driving, and he takes the victory by 19 seconds here today over the number 6 of Timothy Reed, who ended up in second position. It would be Marco Nurmela who would come across the line in third position overall, with Gernot Fritzsche just behind in fourth place. Paul Williams would ultimately find his way through on Kimmo Villiakainen, as Villiakainen would drop back to sixth in the late stages of the race, struggling today with the car, as Dylan Freckleton and Nathan Finnegan would finish 7th and 8th positions. Kartik Pai would have a great race. Like Freckleton and Finnegan, he would gain 3 places over the course of the race today and end up in 9th place, and give some big props to Seamus Power. He was the joint biggest mover in the field, along with Tim Britton and Jason Clapper, gaining 7 places today. He found a top 10 finish, Aussie.
He did, and 10 in 11th position. We will have Tim Vaughan ahead of Thomas Bartfai and Tim Britton. Sebastian Morin, not the showing he wanted on his home turf, only 14th. Oliver Verhegen in 15th place. He had a very, very difficult end of the race. Jason Clapper, Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, then you got Andreas Schuster, Jack David Spickett and Marco Flaquer rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, and Marco Flaquer, with the penalty that he had, the jump start, really cost him. Barry West is the last finish on the lead lap. And all 23 drivers that started today did make the checkered flag. Javier Mosquera and Jakob Oberslack 1 lap down here today, and that is something really positive to see, that all drivers who started today managed to make a finish. It's very rare that we see that in this series with machinery so powerful. We are going to get, though, a chance to jump in with some driver interviews, and no other place to start than your race winner overall, Juanmi Costa. Juanmi, when it comes all together like it does today, the car and track combination, you must be loving the fact that you're almost a second a lap quicker than your nearest challenger.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it feels great, but I don't know if Andy was here. I don't know if I had the pace to win or not.
Well, we can always talk about what ifs, but it is your third victory overall in this series. So you joined some really, really big names out there. But just talk us through what goes around this Magny-Cours circuit, because it is very difficult. It is very bottled up in and amongst itself, and you feel that if this race maybe had an extra 10 to 15 minutes on it, lap traffic may be a little bit more of a challenge for you, but you had a little bit to deal with that. So talk us through this circuit and the nature around it, which makes it such a joy to drive.
I have the turn three is very really enjoyable to drive. You drive with the rear of the car to make it turn around to the right. And the first chicanes are really enjoyable.
Well, they are really enjoyable. We absolutely loved seeing you race away from the field. But talk us through then the second half of the season. You've got your first victory. It's another smaller or high downforce track to come to next, Zandvoort, which will be the next round. So what are you looking at Zandvoort to try and continue this form that you've had so far here at Magny-Cours?
Well, I like Zandvoort, and especially high downforce tracks like Zandvoort. So I hope to have a good pace to fight at least for the podium.
Well, we hope that you have good pace, and we hope that you're back up there again. Before we let you go, the floor is yours. Anybody to shout out or any sponsors potentially that you'd like to thank?
Thank you to you guys, to the Global SimRacing Channel and the Lotus 79 people.
No worries at all. Juanmi Costa picking up just his third race victory of all time, his first win of the season, and a massive victory at that as well for him. Ozzy, you've been walking down the virtual paddock and you've run into the driver who finished second, that being Timothy Reed.
Yes, sir. I am here with Tim Reed, the man representing the United States of America. And Tim, well, what can we say? It was probably a bit of a boring race for you. Can we say that?
Yeah, it wasn't my most exciting race, but I'm happy with the results. It looked somewhat exciting behind me with Marco, Gernot, and Kimo. So hopefully some other people had some good race, but it's a fun track, and overall it was good.
Yeah, it was more or less Juanmi was gonna run away from the field, but you were best of the humans, let's put it that way, in this field after the one alien that went and stole the show. But let's talk about you. Let's not talk about Juanmi right now. How did you find this Magny-Cours circuit? It was the first time we had Sunday Grand Prix here. First week, everybody was learning it. How did you find it? Was it difficult, easy, medium?
It has its challenges. I like it because it's a higher downforce, and it's a new track, so it was good to explore. And kind of each lap, I was learning something different, and improving along the way. So it's really fun, and I look forward to it being on the schedule next season or two.
How about next week? We'll be at Zandvoort, of course, in the Netherlands, among the sand dunes. One of the, not exactly a new circuit on the calendar by any means, so how are you looking forward to that challenge?
Looking forward to it. My only broadcast win was there last time we ran it. Fortunately, I got lucky. Fortunately, the leaders took each other out, so, I gotta show up and defend, I guess.
Yes, you will. Defending is always harder than winning it for the first time. Before we go to the final question, Tim, just one more thing I want to find out from an American. Is hot dog a sandwich?
You can make it into a sandwich.
Thank you.
Really like corn dogs sliced in half and on a cheeseburger. That's the way to go.
They're a tasty treat.
Yes.
from the Goon movie. Anyway, Tim Reed, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations for the second place. And if you do have anyone you would like to thank, feel free to do so.
Obviously, the community, and just want to. Marco got podium, and it's a new face in this series. Hopefully, he shows up for the next few races. He's got some good pace.
Yeah, let's hope so. He's, of course, one of the drivers more known to the Finnish scene, but great to see new faces here as well. Thank you, Tim. Once more, go and celebrate.
Bye.
And that's Tim Reed finishing second. And Jake, I believe that's it for our drivers. I'm not seeing anybody else.
Yep, I believe that is. So we are able to call time then here today on what has been some amazing racing action here from the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. It has been a wonderful showcase. And I want to give a massive thank you to everybody who has been here on the team today, from Ossian, from Daniel, and of course from Dougie as well. Make sure that you check out our social media platforms, our website, and our merchandise store as well. You can find all the links in the description below. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, as well, so that you don't miss a moment here when it comes to what we're doing at the Global SimRacing Channel. Our next race in terms of this Sunday Grand Prix series, unironically, comes along on Sunday, 1 week from today, February 5th, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We will be at Zandvoort for that one. That is going to be something worth keeping in mind. And as well, you can see over on our upcoming events a lot of what's ticking down, so make sure to mark all of those in your calendar. In terms of what's coming up next, though, here at the Global SimRacing Channel, tune in 3:55 p.m. Eastern, because we will have the MX-5 World Sim Series and its debut race over at Okayama. There are 3 stacked fields worth of MX-5 drivers. It is going to be something absolutely incredible. Until next time, though, ladies and gentlemen, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.